All right, CMT 120, Chapter 1 Lab. We are now at Part 5, where we're going to look at the upper layer applications. We looked at, let me close this here, Layer 1 was our cabling. Layer 2 was the NIC we put in here, looking at the MAC addresses. Layer 3, we got our IP addresses sorted out, and we did a ping. Layer 4, we came over here on the laptop, and we looked at the TCP information captured on the sniffer. So now, upper layers, we're going to look now at 5, 6, 7, if you will. Well, it's very common to have 5, 6, 7 lumped together, if you will. So we are going to, for our lab here, take a look at those 3 layers kind of lumped together. We are now going to look at the HTTP data that is moved through the network to, get to the browser here. When I request a web page, we're going to look at that HTTP data moving from the web server through the network to this laptop. That's what we're going to look at. All right, so if you closed your laptop and sniffer before, we're just going to open it back up. If you have them open, awesome. I'll open up my laptop. I'm going to go back to the browser here. I'm going to get that handy. I'm going to open up my sniffer. I'm going to just make sure these are still visible, if you will. And I'm going to, just like before, I'm going to try to get both on here on the screen at the same time. We're going to reload our web page from the web server, HTTP server, www.cnt.org. We're going to load that guy, and we're going to see a new batch of packets come in here. Yes, because I re-requested the web page, it's going to re-request all that information. So there is my web page being loaded. Great. I'm going to close that and slide this over just so I have more room here. I now want to look at, over here, I see DNS, TCP, and HTTP just like before. DNS resolving the name to IP address. TCP was the setup to make sure everything is labeled and organized so the whole web page gets there. We're now going to look at the HTTP. I want to look at the HTTP data that we have. So again, this is coming off the network. So as it comes off the network, I'm going to see the Ethernet header, open that up, IP header, open that up, TCP header, and then I'm going to see my HTTP data down here. That's what we're going to look at. Well, just like before, source and destination MAC address, that's my layer 2. Layer 3, source and destination IP. Source is my laptop to the server. TCP, source and destination port numbers. You see 1026. That's a dynamic number. I have a new number now. I had like 1025 before. Now I have 1026. And the destination is 80, the web server. Going down here, then I have my HTTP request. This is the actual HTTP data, if you will. I'm requesting, hey, give me that web page. Well, the web page is super small, so it didn't take much to get there. But that is actually the web request and the data coming from the web server to my laptop in this case. So there is my HTTP data. That's what I definitely want to see. And that's the HTTP request that I get. Down here is a reminder of what you're getting, what we just talked about, that layer 7 communication. What we want to do is we want to gather proof that you actually looked at the web page. So I'm going to come back here. I'm going to open up my laptop again. And if I close my browser, I'm going to open that back up. And I'm going to gather this. I should be able to highlight all that and right-click copy it. Should be able to. I might need to use the Command-C or, Command-C, right-click copy. Right-click copy may not be working. So I'm going to do my Command-C or Control-C. That's a shortcut for copy. I'm going to open up my text file again, and I'm going to put down here, let's put layer 7 web page data, something of that effect. And I'm going to paste that in. And there is my web page. You notice there's something there about Shrek and onions having layers. So there is me looking at my layer 7 web page data. There's me looking at my layer 7 web page data. All right. So there, real quickly, I have a reminder here about your layers. Layer 1 was our physical cables, our physical patch cables, if you will, and our blinky link lights. That's layer 1. Layer 2, we put a NIC over here in this Harrisburg PC that was giving me my layer 2 connection. And once I had that, I was able to see the layer 2 address, my MAC address. That was proof that my layer 2 was working. Layer 3 is my network layer address. This was the IP addressing. We went into these PCs and made sure it was set for DHCP so it picked up a valid IP address. And once we had that, we were able to ping or move data through the network to another node and get a reply back, indicating that layer 3 was working. Layer 4, we looked at the TCP port numbers over here from our sniffer. Actually, I'll open up my sniffer back again. Looking at these TCP port numbers, the source and destination port, that is my layer 4. TCP is used to number everything, label it to make sure it all gets from A to B. And then last but not least, in the upper layer down here, 5, 6, and 7 tend to get lumped together because they all kind of work together. We focused in on looking at the HTTP layer 7 data. So again, if I look at my sniffer here, I see layer 2 Ethernet, layer 3 IP, layer 4 TCP, and layer 7 is my application layer data, and even says it down. Sometimes it'll say that when in your systems down here, it'll even say application layer data. In this case, it just says HTTP data. There is my layer 7. All right, so before I submit, I'm going to make sure I have all my pieces. So I'm going to open up my text file here, and I'll quick scroll through. Do I have the MAC address from the Harrisburg PC? Yes, I do. There he is. There's my MAC address. Do I have the IP address from the Harrisburg laptop? Yep, there he is. There's my IP from my Harrisburg laptop. Do I have that successful ping? Yes, I do. There he is. Do I have my source and destination port numbers at layer 4? Yes, I do. And do I have my layer 7 or application layer data? Yes, I do. I have the web page right there. So I have all those files. I'm going to make sure it's saved. I'm going to rename this. I'm going to make him plain text. That's fine. And I'm going to make sure it's .txt. If need be, do a rename and make sure you have a .txt file extension. D2L plays nicely when you have a TXT file extension. Okay. You can do .doc if you're using Microsoft Word or .docx. That's fine. .txt plays nicely on D2L. All right, so I have that saved on my desktop. At this point, I can actually close my lab out, and I can actually close my packet tracer out. You could save it if you want to. You could save your progress if you want to. Some people like doing that, so if they have to leave and come back, they can always do that. So just click your little save there. I'm going to close that guy out. And now in D2L, I'm going to go to the Dropbox here, and I'm going to, Chapter 1 Lab is open, so I'm going to open up Chapter 1 Lab. I'm going to scroll down here where it says Submit Assignment. I'm going to do Add a File. I'm going to get it from my computer, and I'll upload it, or I can just drag it in here. I'm going to go to Upload. I'm going to go to my desktop, and I should have a Chapter 1 Lab. There he is right there. And I'm going to make sure it's in there. I'll say Add, and when I'm ready, you can put a comment, but you don't need to. This actually gets submitted to your own little folder here on D2L, so I know it's you. But if you need to put a comment, you can, and then you can do to submit. And that'll actually submit your assignment. This is submitted, and then I will actually see that. And usually, about when it's due, I start grading these and getting them back to you. So if it gets close to the due date, that's usually about when I start grading the submissions that have come in. And I will always have feedback in here on what you have submitted. If there's anything missing, I'll have a comment, anything like that. And then that grade will go right into your grade book for you. So there is the end of our Chapter 1. Oops. There's the end of our Chapter 1 lab for CNT 120.